Welcome to this video on how money raised from the Apprenticeship Levy is used to fund apprenticeships in employers of all sizes in England. We will explain how the apprenticeship budget in England is made up, what it is spent on, and how employers access these funds. First of all, what is the Apprenticeship Levy? The Apprenticeship Levy was introduced in 2017 to support employers to invest in high-quality apprenticeship training and to ensure sustainable funding for employers of all sizes. Now let's look at which employers are eligible to pay the Apprenticeship Levy. The Apprenticeship Levy is payable by all UK employers with an annual pay bill of over £3 million. In this video, we will refer to these employers as levy-paying employers. Those who don't pay the levy, we will refer to as non-levy employers, who are typically smaller employers. For those employers with a pay bill over £3 million, the levy is charged at 0.5% of an employer's annual total pay bill. His Majesty's Revenue and Customs, HMRC, is responsible for collecting the levy on behalf of the government. Employers pay the levy to HMRC on a monthly basis via the PAYE process. So, we've heard how eligible employers pay the apprenticeship levy. Now let's look at how the apprenticeship budget is set. The funding for apprenticeship training and assessment comes from the annual apprenticeship budget agreed at spending reviews. The English budget is managed by the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP. This budget is set in advance by His Majesty's Treasury, HMT. When setting the budget, the government considers its wider investment in skills, ensuring businesses can benefit from a highly skilled workforce. Although linked, this budget is distinct from the total levy receipts and the funds in employer apprenticeship service accounts. Whereas the apprenticeship budget covers the financial year, the notional funding available in the employer apprenticeship service accounts is available for 24 months before it expires. This will change to 12 months for any new funds entering employer accounts from August 2026. Skills policy is devolved to the four nations, England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, and Treasury allocates funding to them to spend accordingly. In total, this apprenticeship budget covers the spend drawn down by all levy-paying employers, as well as apprenticeship costs for those who do not pay the levy. Under this funding arrangement, while levy-paying employers are able to use all their levy funds on apprenticeship training, the majority do not, allowing the government to fund from the apprenticeship budget training and assessment costs for non-levy-paying employers who tend to be small and medium-sized enterprises. So, as we've heard, the apprenticeship budget is set by Treasury. Now let's look at how the apprenticeship budget is used to support the cost of apprenticeship training and assessment in England. The apprenticeship budget pays for all apprenticeship training costs for levy and non-levy paying employers in England. This includes partial or full training and assessment costs for apprenticeships, foundation apprenticeships and apprenticeship units eligible for funding. The cost of English and Maths functional skills up to level 2 for eligible apprentices, the cost of any eligible additional payments and incentives for apprentices, the cost of extra learning support for apprentices with learning difficulties or disabilities, plus programme support costs. The cost of any additional payments, such as English and Maths or extra learning support, are not deducted from or shown in the employer's apprenticeship service account. They are managed separately and deducted from the apprenticeship budget. The employer will only see the costs for apprenticeship training and assessment within their account. Now let's look at what the budget was spent on in the financial year 2023-24. The total revised end-of-year apprenticeship budget for England in the financial year 2023-24 was £2,525 million. Of that amount, 69.7% was used to support apprenticeship costs in levy-paying employers, whilst in the same year, 27.5% was used to support apprenticeship costs in non-levy paying employers, who are usually small businesses. Programme support costs accounted for 2% of the total budget, and 0.6% was unspent at the end of the financial year and so was returned to the Treasury. Unspent funds from the budget are not related to funds expiring from levy payers' accounts. Now let's look at how levy-paying employers in England access funds to pay for training and assessment costs for their apprentices. In England, an employer must create an account with the Apprenticeship Service in order to access and manage funding to spend on apprenticeships. However, they are not obliged to open an Apprenticeship Service account if they do not want to access funds. The notional funds in employer accounts are based on their apprenticeship levy contribution and should be considered as a credit that is available for each levy-paying employer to pay for their apprentices' training and assessment costs. In parallel, the training provider receives payment for training delivered directly from the apprenticeship budget, rather than from any actual funds held by each levy-paying employer. Funds in an employer's account are reduced accordingly. The value of the funds in each levy payer's account will depend on how many of their employees live in England and the proportion of their PAYE bill paid to those employees. This is often referred to as the English percentage. These notional funds are made available to levy-paying employers and until July 2026 will include a 10% top-up from the government. The top-up will no longer be applied to new funds entering accounts from August 2026. However, existing funds in levy accounts, which had the 10% top-up applied, will remain the same. Funds accrue on a monthly basis in an employer's apprenticeship service account, and employers can make use of their levy funds for up to 24 months before they expire on a rolling month-by-month basis. This will change to 12 months from August 2026 for new funds entering the employer's account. Employers can use the funds in their apprenticeship service account to pay for their apprenticeship training and assessment costs. They can also transfer up to 50% of their funds to support apprenticeships in other businesses, such as smaller employers, flexi job agencies and charities, to help meet local and sector-specific needs. Once an employer has spent all the funds in their account, they are required to contribute 5% to apprenticeship training and assessment. From August 2026, the employer contribution will increase to 25%. Now let's look at how non-levy paying employers access funds to pay for apprenticeship training and assessment. Since April 2021, all non-levy paying employers arranging new apprenticeships have done so through the Apprenticeship Service. This has given them control over their apprenticeship choices, the ability to reserve funds and choose the provider that best meets their needs. Non-levy paying employers are those that do not need to pay the apprenticeship levy, i.e. they do not have a total UK pay bill of more than £3 million, and they are typically smaller and medium-sized employers. Employers who do not pay the levy can access funds either by reserving funds or by arranging a transfer from a levy-paying employer. To do either of these, the non-levy paying employer will need to set up an apprenticeship service account. Firstly, let's look at how a non-levy employer reserves apprenticeship funding. The employer reserves their funds via their apprenticeship service account. These reservations will cover 95% of the apprenticeship training and assessment costs up to the funding band maximum, and the employer will pay the remaining 5% directly to their training provider. The government currently pays 100% of the cost for apprentices aged 16 to 22, or those aged between 22 and 24 with an education, health and care plan, or those who are care leavers. From August 2026, the government will pay 100% of the training and assessment costs for all apprentices aged 16 to 24. Alternatively, a non-levy employer can apply for a transfer from a levy-paying employer who has available funds to spend. Employers need an apprenticeship service account to apply for a transfer to fund an apprenticeship for their business. Transferred funds are used to pay for 100% of the training and assessment costs of the apprenticeship up to the funding band maximum, and they cover the cost of the whole duration of the apprenticeship. The cost of any additional payments, such as English and Maths, or other additional payments are not included in the transfer costs. They are managed separately and are deducted from the apprenticeship budget at source. To summarise, we have covered how the English apprenticeship budget is set and is distinct from the total levy income collected, and the notional funds in employer apprenticeship service accounts, what costs are covered by the apprenticeship budget, how these are proportioned and how little is returned to the Treasury, as well as how employers access these funds to pay for their apprenticeship training and assessment. We hope you found this video useful. For more information, visit the Growth and Skills Levy website.